Hey everybody, Ross and Twins back here, and oh, did I surprise you? Do we have a new whiteboard video? Dear Lord! Welcome to another wonderful zombie storyline video. There's gonna be quite a lot of these coming your way in the next couple months because there's so much to talk about with the zombie storyline. Now, in particular, a fan on Twitter was like, hey, well, look at this, and this got me going because I made a video way long ago, you could probably check it out up there, talking about the Moon characters. You know the Moon crew, remember them? Richtofen, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Samantha inside Richtofen's body? Well, they're kind of important, and I really was like, well, what happened to them? And we used a lot of in-game context to try and figure out whether they died or not. Well, given this timeline, we actually have an answer to that. So let's read an excerpt here from the Chronorium. October 13th, 2025, Moon. Using the Vril device and focusing stone, Richtofen completes his grand scheme and swaps bodies with Samantha on Moon, giving him full control of the zombies and the ether. Maxis contacts the remaining members of Ultimus through the station's electronics and asks for their help to defeat Richtofen. They agree and launch missiles at Earth, leaving it fractured and broken. They sever Richtofen's connection with the ether, but he maintains control over the zombies. Once Maxis controls the ether in 2035, he returns to Moon and plucks Samantha from Richtofen's body to join him in our Gotham. Whoa! Whoa! Wow, that kind of gave us an interesting solution, because what I'm going to set up here to you guys is this interesting predicament. If you look over here on the whiteboard, we have my little sketch here of Moon, and we have Sam inside Richtofen's body. 2025, we launched the rockets that hit Earth. Good, we got that, we understand that. The new information we got is Moon in 2035, Maxis takes Sam out of Richtofen's body. Now that seems like a long time. We have a 10-year gap here. 10-year gap. Now why would Reed be interested in this 10-year gap? Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. Let me read you yet another piece from the Chronorium. December 31st, 2035 in Barrie. Victus arrives in an old western town and is now located beneath the mining facility in Angolia. They discover Arthur in a jail cell. He assists them on their journey. The voices of Maxis and Richtofen return. They activate the final polarization device in Maxis' favor. Now corrupted by the dark ether, he reveals his true intentions to Victus and punishes Richtofen by trapping his soul in a zombie. Drawn into Argatha by her father, Samantha witnesses the evil that has corrupted him. When the rift opens in Dimension 63 in 1918, she reaches out of that timeline for Maxis' help. So that was an interesting excerpt, but you know, you might be like, hey Reed, slow down. What does half that stuff you just said even mean? But we do need to establish who Victus, Ultimus, and Primus is. So Primus, we're familiar with. That's Black Ops 3. Probably most of you people have played as Primus. Whether you join later in this whole zombie life cycle, it doesn't really matter. But you've probably played as them. Victus is the transit crew. Those are the characters we played in Black Ops 2, and we also see them in the comics. Ultimus is actually the characters we played in World at War and messed up everything going through our timeline in Black Ops 1. So that's that explanation. Arthur, by the way, is Leroy. So Arthur had an interesting story from the Chronorium. He actually got teleported through space and time into Buried from Der Eisendrache, where he was actually a servant of the Wolf King. So that's how his whole story starts to make a lot more sense, why we have this crazy guy inside Barrie. Now let's talk about what I just said. We had the end game, and Samantha notices her father is evil now. Well, why is Maxis evil, you may be saying? What happened in that original storyline that made him evil just like Richtofen? Well, I can answer that. In a previous video, I used to talk about what is inside the MPD, what are the voices, what's corrupting everybody. It is in fact the Shadow Man. Samantha herself, when she falls into the MPD, is corrupted by the Shadow Man. Now take it a step further though. Why is it corrupting? Well, it's actually a gateway to the dark ether. So there's this whole thing called a dark ether here that it ends up ruining everything. So if you go to the beginning of that map and you look at the storyline and it says in the beginning there was the Keepers and the Apothicons. Apothicons are keepers that just got corrupted by this entity called the dark ether. Try to think of it like good versus evil, almost like a heaven hell type of deal. You're definitely getting these little pushes here about life in this gigantic universe, and it's all world building, so just stick with me here. This dark ether causes you to get corrupted. The Apothecons got corrupted, and all they want is this ultimate power inside Argatha. The Keepers are like, damn, you crazy, we're gonna get all you corrupted Keepers out of here. And that's what morphed them into the Apothecons. Great, you knew that. Now get back to the characters. Well, this ether corrupted Maxis when he went inside the MPD on Moon. If you remember the radio in there, he ends up killing himself inside Moon, and he goes inside the electronics on Griffin Station in the original Black Ops 1 storyline. Samantha, already inside the MPD, gets corrupted there as well. We go through our storyline, our characters, our transit crew, or Victus, do all the Maxis side till the end game, and all of a sudden he reveals, I'm sacrificing the Earth, and it's doomed, blah, great for Maxis, but he is corrupted by that evil, and he is now in a position of power. Finally, with enough power, after all these years of stuff going by, he takes Samantha out of Richtofen's body and pulls her all the way back to him inside whatever ether they're living in. And Samantha sits there going, this is crazy. So this is the Samantha teddy bear floating in the NPD, is now saying, whoa, Dad is nuts. This is not okay. I can see he's evil. It was the same evil that was corrupting me when I was inside the NPD, but he's completely overwhelmed by it. So, wouldn't you know it, a rift occurs in time and space. Where does it occur? Over here. You can't see that. That's not on screen. Fantastic. Well, there is a thing right here called Origins. And she contacts Maxis asking her for her freedom. Help me. I'm trapped here. All that stuff that keeps going on, that's the connection here to Origins. So this perfectly explains why Maxis goes crazy in Origins. He's hearing some other girl. There's so many different versions of our characters. When we're trying to interpret the storyline at first, we're like, I don't know what's going on, and we're making all these mismatches. What Treyarch did is they said, okay, you know all these crazy incontinuities, all these things that confuse everybody? Let's make it easy to understand according to this storyline. It's not easy, but they finally took the storyline where you would say, this is just nonsense. None of this makes sense. It seems arbitrary. They're never touching on this. And they did put brackets around it. They completely said, remember everything that happened in the past 3 games? Here you go. All set, all done, all interconnected. Everything makes sense. And I'm just like, excuse you, sir. That is insanity. That's a task I couldn't even attempt to undertake. As I digress, Sam reaches out to Maxis during that end game we see in the rift in space and time in Origins, or with their work in 115. It's not abundantly clear, but if he got corrupted beforehand and he went crazy with Richtofen, it's imagining Group 935's work with all those elements caused a rift in space and time where she could contact him. And she was looking for his freedom. So this ends up getting into this empty Earth world that is referenced many times about these transit characters being screwed on this planet because Maxis sacrificed the world, he destroys everybody, and that's it. There's these multiple endings and outcomes that I have to look even deeper into, but let's just take a step back to what I'm really focusing on. We have a perfect connection between the endings of our games in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, which is astounding all these years later to see how Treyarch could repair all this and bring it back together. Obviously, this was never the original intention because this has been the development of many different people, all kinds of different writers' visions, and the community trying to make this cohesive story a game. And now finally Treyarch saying, all right, you guys love this, we love it, we're gonna be in this together, we're gonna make a very big storyline. We're gonna make this game and we're gonna keep telling this story as long as you wanna hear it. It reminds me very much of what WWE is. Every year, it just keeps turning. Every year we get more and more of a new storyline. You have all these character arcs and all this stuff, but it continues. Once WrestleMania is over, you have the next day on Raw and you're like, all right, time to start up a new storyline or continue the last one. And that's what we're getting here. So that comes right back into my point I wanna make now, 10-year gap. My big thing that I'm so excited about on the timeline is in this 10-year gap could be the paradox being resolved. Now it might be completely different, it might be something we don't even know about, and maybe we have new characters being introduced and who knows what might happen. But just feel this out for me, alright? Because we have all these fractures in space and time. There's 10 years between the time we have our Moon characters being either rescued, saved, something's going on. 10 years of chilling out on Moon. Doesn't that seem odd to you that they waited 10 years and then Maxis in 2035 is able to be like, all right, I got Sam back? Are they on cryo state? Did they go into some kind of stasis? Are they teleporting? Does the moon teleporter not work anymore? What's going on? Those were the questions we had before in my previous video I asked. Treyarch can now leave this open to them to say, you know, maybe because of what went down and the paradox needs to be resolved, maybe these guys might be up to their old shenanigans again. We might get to play as Samantha, Tank, Nikolai, and Takio in some kind of 10-year gap going back to this before this ending happens. Before this ending happens where the Max's endgame happens, they teleport through space and time and they start undoing whatever nonsense happens. They start fighting Dr. Monty. They entered the other universe. There are so many options in which this can go. Stick with me here. Earth gets destroyed in one universe, right? In this universe that they end up causing, they can in fact undo Richtofen's grand scheme. That's very possible. Or they can take it a step further and start dealing with other dimensions, other universes, and how they can resolve the paradox. Something that I won't be able to even speculate on at this point, because who knows what direction Treyarch wants to take. We still have all that Cthulhu lore. We still have a lab underneath Mob of the Dead. These characters could in fact be alive, because we know they survived at least 10 years, which actually makes sense according to our transit radio that mentioned that it's been decades since Maxis could contact anybody to try and figure out what's been going on. So the big point of this video is our Moon characters didn't die on Moon. They could be utilized for the next game. That's really cool. Take it a step further, we might see them fighting our old Primus characters because they had to fail, fighting messed up versions of themselves, or in fact going against Monty in a whole new way. This is awesome because it doesn't take away from what we've already accomplished. The things that Primus did, that Divintus did, nope. The things that Primus did, the things that Ultimus did, and Victus did, all still matter, all still count. We have characters that are alive and well for 10 years that could still find a way to fracture space and time, similar to what Richtofen did. The Primus group fractured space and time, allowing all these different fractures to occur. This could be a future fracture to resolve the paradox. I'd love to know your thoughts about this little idea and theory I have talking about the Moon characters. Would you want to see them come back? Because I love them. I would love to see these characters come back as playable characters to fix all kinds of crazy nonsense that was occurring in our storyline. Very much so, we're at a pinnacle here where the entire storyline so far is at a paradoxical breaking point. And the next game could be resolving that only to cause more conflicts to tell a better story, which is awesome. This really got to the whole point of stopping the multiverse. And I love it, the big multiverse. Instead, we have a couple of timelines, 4 in particular, that we can just say, let's focus on these 4. Now let's fix some of these, all right? And now we might have a couple of storylines that we can just focus on, which is awesome for us to be like, oh, I love these characters, I love this and that. For instance, Mob of the Dead and Shadows of Evil's universe completely got destroyed by the Overlords. Completely wiped out by the end of Shadows of Evil. Whoa! That's a crazy step to see continuums completely cut off. And that's why the paradox occurs when Primus drinks the blood, because a universe that doesn't exist anymore, there's some item from that existing in another universe. And that's why these things and these events keep going and going and going. Could these guys be the ones to save it? Or should it be somebody else? Should it be new characters? Should it be different versions? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm so excited. I'm sorry I get so pumped up about this stuff. Hopefully that made some kind of coherent sense. If you have questions about the storyline, tell me down in the comments below. This is going to be a series now of anything you see on that map. I'm going to try and explain to you in the zombie timeline. I absolutely love what Treyarch did in their commitment to this, so I'm very much committed to you to interpreting it and explaining those things that just kind of don't make sense, but they really do. There's really more to it. After 8 years of storytelling, it finally came together in a cohesive sense that makes everybody pretty darn happy. Make sure you subscribe for all your Call of Duty Black Ops news and information. Oh shoot, Rad has some announcements. Tomorrow, you can see early Moon gameplay. I'll have up to 15 minutes of Moon gameplay across a couple of videos of the remastered version of Zombie Chronicles of Moon. It was, whew. Wait till I can tell you tomorrow what that's all about. So make sure to tune in for that. It'll be around, I think, 12 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They'll be uploaded all day as much as I can. So be excited for that. I will be streaming every day this week as well with MC Sports Hawk. So that'll be really fun. And my posters are going on sale. You can actually get my Gobblegum posters or my Death 4 posters on my website now. It's available, but it really goes on sale starting Monday, and then it will carry on for 2 weeks, and you can only get them, they're limited. So I have 3 bundles. I have a $25, a $25, and a $45 bundle. You can get the 4 Death 4 posters, you can get the 5 Gobblegum posters, or you can get all 9 all 9 posters in a pack. It boils down to about like $4 to $5 a poster. So you're not really gonna get that deal anywhere else, and they're 12 by 18 inches. Wait a minute. They're this size. They're actually relatively large, and these, the Death 4s, commemorate the deaths of our characters in Black Ops 3. They're sacrifices to save the universes. So you guys go check that out. And the Gobblegums are my artist's interpretation and my interpretation of the perks on a new level. They look really, really good, the Gobblegums in particular, and we have some of our favorite Gobblegums available. I don't have those on me right now, so the promo image will be on screen. You can check those out. I absolutely love it. There's like kind of a little Overwatch undertone in the Phoenix Up one. So I hope you enjoy. You don't have to ever buy them, but it's just something that can support my videos and my company. So you can look into that stuff if you want to support us and get something really cool in return. Like I hang these on my wall and they're behind me in all my streams. And if not, you can just, you know, continue to watch the videos like you do. I never ask more than that. I gotta thank you for your support. It's been crazy. Once I'm done with school, I'm gonna do like another video. It's just like reintroducing myself because we've gotten so many viewers, like almost 3,000 new viewers in the past week alone. That's an astounding number. So I thank you for the support, and I hope you'll stick with me because I have a lot of entertaining videos to bring you about zombies and a lot of other things too. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.